one of the questions that we keep being asked at meetings is how can you afford schemes like King's Square when you've got funding reductions from government and you're having to cut services? And it's a complicated answer, which is why you can't get it across in one line, but these conversations give us an opportunity to discuss and explain what happens with the council's finances. The government says that our revenue spending, which is the money that's spent on wages, or spent on day-to-day running costs, can be spent on that, or can be spent on infrastructure or equipment, but you can't do the reverse. And the example that I use is you could lay people off in terms of staff and build a building using their wages. You couldn't sell a building and then use that money to pay wages, because then the money would run out. But for that reason, mixed with us having historically low borrowing rates, means that we can afford larger infrastructure projects that in the end are investors save money by being able to be maintained more easily, less replacement and so on. But at the same time, we are struggling on the day-to-day services because of those government funding reductions. I mean, if you have £10 in your pocket, you can decide to spend it on a service or on a piece of equipment. With us, we don't often have that choice because of government regulations. But actually, by funding things like King's Square, you end up getting private sector investment to come in on the back of that, which helps jobs and growth. But also, it means that you won't have to replace paving for 70 years or so, whereas at the moment we've been replacing it roughly every 6-7 years, and in which case that's putting pressure and costs onto our revenue budgets, which then affects everyday services. So as I said, quite a complicated explanation, not something you can say in one line, but the community conversations gives us a big opportunity to explain what's happening with local government finances.